There's a term now used in the web world called the attention economy, which is, if you put that into Google and look, it'll give you lots of figures. What's the average length of time people spend on web pages? How many different applications do people have open at any one time? So I bet a number of you sit and you listen to the radio or you watch television while you're tapping away on perhaps sending an email. You may also be looking at a Facebook page if you have one, or so on and so forth. People are scattering their attention far more over a range of applications, equally in organizations. To think that everybody in the organization has the same sole focus and purpose as maybe the top team have, I think we are deluding ourselves if we believe that. So I think now it's business unusual. We have to actually find ways of licensing anarchy in organizations, rather than the number of changes I've been told, oh, keep disruption to a minimum. It's got to be low levels of disruption. The licensed anarchy is really a shorthand for saying we have to maximize participation, and you can't expect people not to bring their own views. We have to make it more celebratory, and also celebrity, which is what I put here. So it's like people have to feel special if they're part of it. And in that sense, it has to be more immersive. It has to kind of completely fill their experience of the organization, rather than being a set of solid plans that are looked at from time to time. And in doing so, we have to create what I would call transformative space. So a place for people to know that the transformation is going on. Again, if you take the lessons from reality television, all of them have some form of transformative space. And it's heretical. It has to kick against the boundaries of existing understandings. It has to challenge aspects of what it is that we truly believe about the organization. So 9-to-5 working, or boundaryless working, or whatever. And there has to be, and these are horrible words that I invented, but there has to be an entertainment level almost. People have to find it fun, so I call it change-utainment or edutainment or infotainment, and knowing when to, when do you use and borrow from the world of media to make things fun and make them happen. So I think all of this combined together is that popular culture mixed in with a generational shift has actually impacted people's mental models of change, and it's changing their mindset about what constitutes consultancy, change, and OD. And the problem is, I think, is that the OD, consultancy, and change world have not caught up with that, and we're still using models and methods of change that go right back to a previous world. These are ideas of things that I've tried and would suggest, perhaps recommend, that might help. So there's sort of masterclasses. You can actually video stream those now. If your company has a really healthy intranet, you can actually stream those. Videoing major decisions. I know I was working with a company once where they were closing some factories, and they did a very good job of the closure. It was a very sad time. But I actually think if people in the organization had seen through short films the struggle that the board had to make that decision, not because they were bad at making decisions, but just the heartache it was causing them, it would have really also sped up the process of change a lot, because people would have realized this was not capriciousness on the part of, oh, let's just close those factories, we don't care. I think if they'd have seen the degree of care, then I think they would have understood more about this is something that's important, and the only reason this decision is being made is for the ongoing success of the company. We've got kind of real coaching. A lot of the coaching I see happening at the moment is what I would call vanity coaching. It's like everybody has a coach because that's a badge of, I must be very good and I'm on the fast track, where I wonder how real and authentic some of that coaching is. The short, sharp secondment. So it's if you've got somebody who is really good at managing and leading in one area, why not second them to perhaps a failing part of the organization just for maybe even just 2 weeks to get them. It's using amateur consultants but supported by people who know how to do consultancy, and then you kind of film it, you broadcast that around the organization. And that links in Gordon Ramsay. I should have taken this reference out. It's a very UK-centric one. He's a chef, some of you may have heard of, and he does a program where he goes into restaurants that are failing, and he really tells people how it is and why they're failing. He pulls no punches. He's not a very pleasant person. His program is incredibly popular. So that's kind of my run through about why change is changing. It'd be great to hear some of the thoughts and ideas that you have. And apologies for my microphone not being loud enough, and also if I spoke too quickly. Asit, back to you as moderator.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So What we learned today, what it sounds like, is if you want to run a change in your organization, is start American Idol or Organization Idol, right?
Yeah. Start watching more television.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Just take some cues from one of the reality shows. But it's kind of interesting. I just have one question, Ian. You know, maybe we're coming up to the hour again. Have you done? I know you've been involved in a lot of studies lately. Have you done any cross-cultural studies in terms of whether you know, the change model you just described? It's true throughout the world in different cultures as well.
What before I actually left Nokia a year ago, I co-led a large project for about a year or so on change and organization development in the emerging markets. And we eventually brought in some partners on this research. So we partnered up with Thomson Reuters, the publishing company, because they were also, like we were struggling, and Thomson Reuters were struggling with how to really build a global business and how to have people understand, you know, that being part of, say, Nokia or Thomson Reuters, what that really meant. And so the research was sort of field work and, you know, desk research and all the usual kind of stuff. And in those countries where reality television has had, you know, is very prevalent, and also in those countries where there is where the generations are clearly defined, not necessarily using the boomer, you know, Gen X and Gen Y terms, then you find that people have the nature of change is changing, and people's expectations are much more in line with what I've been talking about today than with perhaps traditional views of change.